So how does polarization impact the reform directly?
Okay.
In a way that maybe it has not impacted it in different countries like India or Sri
Yeah.
Lanka. There is polarization there as well.
Yes. There is polarization in those countries, but right now in those countries such as India, is the polarization is where the state is the majoritarian party. And it's with minority parties where it's got an issue. Here it's much more diffuse, right? Because we've got a contested election, we have many more issues which are against the incumbents as well. We've got a federal provincial division that has just expanded over time. And those things are relatively different from the kind of polarization that we see, say, in India. Why addressing polarization is important is because for reform, where we know that there are small groups that tend to be very popular, whether they're the sugar mafia, whether they are, small cartels that we have everywhere. We can even list the Textile Association in this, who are incredibly powerful. I mean, they're relatively small, but they're disproportionately powerful.
Yes.
And especially now, we're locked into these contracts for energy, which is proving to be like almost, something that could stab the economy in the back if we do not find ways to address it, especially since solar is increasing over time. For anyone to do anything about this, it needs to have some sense that the fragile deck of cards of government doesn't fall on the basis of doing something that is incredibly necessary. And Pakistan has historically, in my opinion, been one of those countries, and most countries are like this, that you would rather kick the can down the road for somebody else to solve
Yes.
than you would. And I don't think that we're at an exemption stage right now. I mean, I sometimes look at, say, some reforms that have succeeded or some programs that have succeeded. It's very interesting to see that, BISP is still around. And one of the abilities of BISP was effectively to be able to be rebranded by another government to continue. Because, there is a very strong desire for political ownership in this country. If the Sehat card, which was also incredibly popular, can become, I guess, some other card, right, owned, it tends to continue. And once you've also allocated budgets, it becomes part of the the budgetary cycle. These things tend to stay. But a lot of these, let's say sugar, textiles, a number of these industries, I mean, it's been 50 years.
Yes.
So 50 years of stasis. And with 50 years of stasis, or with whatever circular issues that we have as a result of it, whether it's circular debt or anything else, it just keeps compounding so much that it is now a disproportionate burden on provincial and federal incumbents. Mm-hmm. And for them to move forward with this requires some degree of, across the board consensus that what we're doing is important, that, we will not take cheap pot shots at one another or use it as an excuse to bring one another down. That's what I mean by polarization. Because even extremely polarized countries today include the United States. It includes many European countries.
Yes.
But there are bipartisan issues where they work across the aisle, realizing that these are important. Mm-hmm. And why I find the polarization in Pakistan problematic is that the process or even the desire for accommodation is almost finished. Mm-hmm. And that is what's absolutely necessary. Whether it's a constitutional amendment, whether it's anything else, the desire is to railroad it through.
Yes.
Right? And you can do that in some sectors, but in sectors where the poorest of the poor get affected, that can create the seeds for, law and order. It can seed disaffection and things like that. And a lot of these areas have that knock-on effect possibility. The power sector is one example.
Yes.
Sugar could be another, although there's plans to do massive stuff around sugar, and I hope it happens. But I just think that that's why right now, polarization is a huge issue because for reform to work, it needs political ownership.
Yes.
And political ownership ideally should be broad-based. And if we can't get that, we are in a difficult situation.